with people that are self-employed, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac is getting more cautious that they don't want to have a bunch of real estate investors foreclose or lose their homes. Great job, Jordy. Should we all give Jordy a round of applause for getting the screen up? Awesome, Jordy. Awesome, Jordy. All right, so as he keeps going, I love this. Is this your first Zoom call, Jordy?
You know, this is the first one that I have co-presented and also presented something on the screen. So learn every day, right?
Yeah, we're always getting better. Awesome. So we're going to let him take it away about finding opportunities in 2020 real estate market. So that will give you guys some ideas of what to take away. So I'm going to put my phone on mute because I'm timing myself.
Okay.
Jordy, you good to go?
Perfect. I'm good to go. So we're going to first start off with this nice disclaimer that our attorney and we put together. I'm a real estate broker. Matt's a mortgage broker. That's where we're coming from with this. We're not giving any financial or legal advice. And, you know, if you guys choose to invest in real estate, you're doing so not off of any recommendations we're giving. We're just giving you guys the most up-to-date data as we see it in the world. And we definitely have some biases based off of our experiences we've had, right? So with that being said, I found this funny meme over here. So it says, I finally woke up from my coma after 6 months. How's the year been so far? And then this guy over here just has this totally blank face, like you don't even want to know, right? So how many of us, and you can go ahead and type in the chat bar, how many of us feel like this year has just been a roller coaster? Very different from any other year, at least I've been alive. And I'm not going to put any good, bad connotations with it. It's just been different, right? And yeah, I think it's going to continue to be different for the rest of the year. So a question I get asked a lot is this a good time to invest in real estate, or should I wait for the crash? Right? And I think Deepak, I think you had a comment where, you know, you were like, hey, is it going to crash in 2021? The reality is, Matt and I don't have crystal balls. I wish we did. I'm sure we'd make a lot of money in the NBA postseason, right? But the reality is, no one knows what is going to happen in the future. And if they tell you they do, they're trying to sell you something, in my opinion. So I'm going to go over some data, and then I'm going to turn this back over to Matt. And then when Matt's done, I'm going to take it back over and kind of go through. I helped a client purchase an investment property 6 years ago and kind of go through what that performance has looked like. So with that being said, I personally, I'm going to answer this question. I think it is a good time to invest in real estate, depending on your short and long-term goals. And kind of where you're at in life. This next slide just kind of shows how the housing market in Utah did June this year versus June last year. So a couple of data points I want to look at. The median days on market is actually down from last year, meaning houses are selling quicker. There have been 10% more homes sold. Just in general, 7% more single family, and the median price per square foot is higher. However, if you come down here to the inventory, if you look at 2019 over here on the right, there was 9,500 active listings, and 7,800 were active or under contract or backup last year at this time. This year, in June, we had 6,700 active and 9,500 under contract. So we're seeing a compression in the inventory, and more homes are going under contract. So if we look at supply and demand, we're in a very interesting place. This purple line is 2020's year so far, and then we've got other years like 2016, 17, 18, 19. And you can kind of see that generally there's a trend, right? This year, it's really interesting. Ever since April, we have had less listings. So we were going into the coronavirus with a housing shortage in the state of Utah, and especially in the Salt Lake City, Provo, metro areas. And that's been influenced even more, I think, by a lot of people coming from coastal markets. We're seeing a lot of listings that are selling for cash from California buyers, from people coming from Seattle, just different coastal markets that are typically more expensive, and they're coming to Utah, which is a more affordable market. And it's definitely taking a toll on prices, as everyone has seen. So I think this is very interesting, looking at how many listings there are. I mean, the last 4 years, they've all kind of been right in a pretty good range, and we are at 6,000. The lowest we ever were in July was, I don't know, 7,500 maybe to 10,000-ish. So, I mean, we're 40% what we were in 2016 as far as what inventory is out there, active and available to buy. This next slide is the average number of under contract residential listings per day. So again, you kind of see all of the last 4 years follow a trend, right? Peaking in June and then slowing down to the slowest months, December and January, because no one that doesn't have to move chooses to move when there's 8 inches of snow on the ground, unless there's other motivations. So we were kind of following along until March hit, and then we had this really weird, everyone pulled their house off the market, everyone kind of slowed down going under contract, and then you can see we've just been on a tear as far as how many houses are selling, especially when you compare this to the last 4 years. So why doesn't everyone type in the chat bar what they think this would do to pricing if we come back and we've got very few listings and more under contract listings than normal? What do you guys think that's going to do? Pop up the chat. Deepak said, never thought it would be like this. Probably about 2020. No one could have guessed. Prices will go up, increase in price. I think that that's probably what's happening right now, is an increase in pricing. I know that most of the properties we're listing, we're getting multiple offers, and it's a bidding war like I've never seen. The tough thing is, as an agent, we now have to try to go get this to appraise when there's no past data for appraisals, and maybe Matt can jump in a minute and talk about that, but I know what I'm doing is I'm just jumping in, meeting with the appraisers at the property and handing them all of the offers that we received and said, look, I know this defies logic, but even though we're 25 grand above list price, we have 5 people that were willing to pay it. So the market's telling us that this is what this house is worth. What are you going to say? Wait, Matt, you're muted.
I forgot, this is not my presentation formally. I'm a guest, thank you. This is for my pal Deepak. I like this guy. He's good at participating. In 2007, this is exactly what happened. The realtors were pushing the buyers were pushing the value in Utah. So in 2007, you had real estate investors, just like Jordy was saying, from California buying in Utah, because you couldn't buy spec homes in Arizona, Nevada, California, and Florida because they hit their peak 2 years before. So I'm acting as if 2020 is having a compression of time. What took 18 months, the last correction, is taking 6 to 9 months now. So just because a buyer is willing to pay $25,000 more for a $400,000 house does not mean that that property is worth it from a bank. So you got to think about this from the banker's perspective. The banker is not going to lend more money than what a third-party opinion is. So even if Jordy shows, hey, look, this is an amazing house, and my investor did an awesome fix and flip, if there are not comps to support that value, you cannot normally have comps, like you're going to have what's called a bracket, right? So you're going to have different things bracketed. So if people are willing to pay more than what the market will bear, that's something to take into consideration as real estate investors with it potentially softening. Because it can't sustain going like this. It has to cool or go down. So those are just some characteristics to take into consideration.
Cool. Thanks, Matt. So moving over to this slide real quick, we've got total number of sold residential listings. We were pretty much following most trends on number of solds until May and June, and then we've seen, well, June was increased by about, I'm going to call it 1,000 more sold listings than normal, or at least the last 4 years, where May we had maybe 500 less. So huge jump in how many sold in June versus May and April. It'll be interesting to see what happens over the next few months with number of solds, because as we saw here in July, we can actually track the number of under contracts. We are above where we were in June and definitely where we were in May. So there's a lag time from typically how long something goes active to under contract to sold. And typically the quickest this can happen on a cash transaction is about 2 weeks with most buyers, and it's about 30 to 45 days with most lenders. So this right here is just kind of showing the impact of COVID-19 on real estate showings. So we can kind of see that, starting at the beginning of the year, 2020 is the orange, 2019 is the blue line. 2020 was definitely hotter than last year in January, February, and then come middle of March when Rudy Gobert was touching everyone's microphones, everyone decided to stop seeing homes for a little while until about, I'm going to say the middle of May. And then we kind of met at this point where we were last year. From there, it's gone up. So there are more buyers out seeing houses, even with today's environment. A lot of agents are taking more precautions, wearing masks, wearing gloves, hand sanitizer, just, being more precautious than they were. And we are definitely over how many showings are happening versus last year. The interesting thing is I listed a place in West Valley, and we had literally so many people that wanted to see it the first day that I had to tell people they could only be in the house for 10 minutes because from 3 o'clock to 9 o'clock, we had about 20 parties that wanted to go through it. So lots of agents out there with lots of buyers, and it's very interesting. If we kind of look at...
Mr. Graph Guy.
What was that?
Hey, Mr. Graph Guy.
Yes, sir.
Knowing that you love to share data, because you are like a data analytics guy, do you actually mind sharing for a couple minutes of were you at the Florida meeting in March?
I was.
Do you remember what we were talking about that night and then how fast things shut down? Because I think a lot of times people forget what's happened. So if we maybe talk about like that quick of meeting of what happened, then that will help people put things in perspective.
I don't remember what we were talking about. Partly because I was checking people in, and so for half the meeting I was.
Jordy and I work really hard and have season tickets for the Jazz. Okay, and I remember joking with other people, wondering what game we're going to go to next. And then the next day, the NBA shut down. And with the NBA shutting down, I was going to go to Tony Robbins' event, Unleash the Power Within. Jordy wanted to have a baby instead, so he didn't go. But it literally just stopped, right? Like, if you guys think about it, we're seeing the ramifications of something just stopping. If in the government, if we have something like that again in the fall or in the winter, it's going to get worse because it's already layered currently. If that makes sense. Like, unemployment is already 10 to 12% depending on the state. So I think these statistics right now happen so quickly where during 2008 is a lot slower. So I think this is important for you guys to take into consideration of what to do to adjust so you can capitalize on these opportunities.
Yeah, perfect. So really, this is the same thing. Just wanted to show this side by side with how many showings happened. This is just Utah, so we see the dip here. It was significant, but it wasn't as significant as nationally, the dip that happened. And I'll end on this for a few minutes. I think it's interesting to look at this because as I talk with other real estate professionals nationwide in mastermind groups that I'm a part of and just relationships I've built, we seem to be more insulated in Utah than California. Just Arizona, New York, Florida, like we just seem to be a little bit more insulated in a lot of different things in where our economy is, definitely in how all of this has played out. So yeah, I think that this is very interesting to see how big of a difference Utah has fared as far as at least how many people are going out and seeing houses. And I think that can convey itself into just a different way of looking at how people in Utah at least are viewing going out and seeing houses versus nationwide. And that probably translates into other areas of life, not just looking at properties. So before we move on, is there anyone that has any questions? You can feel free to unmute yourself rather than do the chat bar so that we can get a little bit of different engagement. No? I see Deepak shaking his head.
Yeah, I've got a question. So as you're in a mastermind, which is awesome in other parts of the country, how many of those are investing? And of those who are investing, what are they doing to modify their investment strategies? Is a really good question I would want to ask them.
So I'm not in any nationwide masterminds for investing. I am in a few here in the state, and at least here in Utah with everyone I've talked to that has experienced a cycle before, the overall theme seems to be that people are saving more cash. They are liquidating the assets that they do not like or do not want to hold on to, and just getting cash to be prepared. And, you know, that could be having more in savings for your personal household. That could be liquidating stocks that you've got good capital gains in because you want to put it into something else. That can be selling 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom rental houses because you want to buy 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom rental houses that you've got a lot of equity in. It's a couple of different things, but overall, I think the theme is having more cash to be prepared for opportunities that come in the future. So, Matt, I will let you take it away and educate us on 10 things you would do differently. Can't hear you.
To make this better for everyone, quick examples. Let's see, Elliot, if you don't mind unmuting yourself, just so I have a better idea of how to help you guys. Do you have any rental properties, and if so, how many currently right now, if you don't mind? And then I'm going to give you 30 seconds if you don't mind sharing. Nope, KBK. Whoever's on KBK, if you have any rental properties, so I can have an idea how to tweak this and make this better for you. If you don't mind sharing how many you have or putting in the chat. Okay, our Miss Diamond, if you have any rental properties. Deepak, you got any rentals? You got 3. Oh, I love that you're participating. 4. 3.5. What is that? Oh, 0. 0. All right, 0.
Sorry, my
Adam,
chat. I don't know what happened with my chat, but I have 2 rental properties right now.
Awesome. Okay, 2 rental properties. Okay. KBK, I have 2 properties, 7 doors. Ooh, I like that one. All right, cool. And then Adam York, how many rental properties you got?
I have 1 rental property in Kearns, and the basement in my personal home is rented out as well.
Awesome. Okay, so little background to help you guys better with this. I've got 94 rental, 94, 95, 96. I can't remember because I had 100 and I sold 6. I guess that's 94. Had 100 doors. I've sold 6 this year. I've got 4 more under contract to sell because I want to have more capital. So I'm going to focus on 10 things that I would do differently, knowing what I know now to help you guys out. And what's good with this information is Jordy clicks this for me. This is a great example. Wait, go back real quick. This is he clicks and just making a comment. Here's a great example of carpet and paint and new flooring. Very basic, right? If you guys will notice, by just painting the house and putting in new flooring, obviously staging makes a difference. Makes a world, like you can increase your value a lot that way. So as we're going to focus on this, we're going to give you 10 different tips. I've only shared this presentation once before this year for some high-level investors, so you guys are going to get a lot of different ideas of how to help you guys out right now. So go ahead to the next one, please. So number 1 is establish a written plan, okay? So how much do you want to make each year? So as you guys write this down, you should have an annual income goal that you want to make. Ideally, your annual income goal will be replaced by passive income in the future with inflation, okay? The second thing is the more you solve problems, the more money you'll make. There's tons of real estate agents, right? There's tons of real estate agents, but there are not a lot of real estate investors. So as you're able to solve problems for other investors, you can come up with new opportunities. And then as you solve those investors' problems, you'll be able to earn more money. So a quick example of sharing this as Jordy goes to the next slide. On this property that we're showing you guys right now, we bought this property in Midvale, Utah, just a couple of years ago. And the person evicted a family member, or did not want to evict a family member. And by not wanting to evict a family member, we were able to buy the property at a deep discount because they didn't want to deal with it, right? So if you guys will notice, as we changed the complete configuration of the property, the reason we put a cabinet underneath the countertop is because we added a hood on top of the range on the behind the property, right? So you're always going to be modifying your investment strategies as things change and solving problems. You want to go to the next one, please. With that, number 2 is establish one area of focus. What I mean by establishing one area of focus is as real estate investors, the first 10 years you're an investor, you're considered a starter. I learned this from a gentleman named Peter Fortunato. You're considered a starter. You're all over the place. You want to do assignments, fix and flips, buy and hold, syndication, apartments, Airbnb, or short-term rentals. That's okay because you're just excited to get involved. Then on years 11 through 30, you are considered a builder. There's 2 types of passive income that you want. Jordy, do you remember what type of passive income builders want?
They want passive income from rentals, or they want passive income from lending money, from notes.
You got it. Notes or rentals. If you guys want to write that, after you've been investing from 11 to 30 years, you're going to want to focus on strategy, right? So, and then the last 10 years of a real estate investor, so years 31 through 40, you've built up a long portfolio. You have 2 concerns. Number one is preserving capital. So you don't want to lose money, period. Like you want to keep your capital. And number two is you want the most tax efficiency. So as you want as much tax efficiency, then you'll go to the next slide that Jordy's sharing with you guys. Areas of focus. Number three, I think this is extremely important. You guys have one person, Jordy, hosting this with you, is finding a local mentor, right? So as you guys find local mentors, I have different coaching that I personally do, and then as I have different coaching that I personally do, I have different people that I learn from all the time. And as we find different coaches or mentors to learn from, their job, is to really help decompress the learning curve. So as we decompress the learning curve, then we can get better results with what we're looking for. As we're getting different bids or better results, you want to get 3 bids on different trades, like 3 roofing bids, 3 HVAC bids, 3 plumbing bids. We're selling a house tomorrow that we actually got 11 offers in Provo. We pushed the value, or we pushed the market 25,000, as Jordy would say, but we on purposely priced this house low because we wanted people to emotionally get charged. And we actually ended up going with a cash offer, and we got the cash offer as high as the highest finance offer, and that worked out really good. The other thing that I think is really important from is ask the question. Here's the question as we go to the next one. What did I learn from this project, right? So as we write down what we learned from this project, then we're establishing our own criteria that we can teach other people on our team. So finding a local mentor, getting bids, 3 bids on everything, and then what can we learn from this project? Jordy can go to the next one, please. Awesome. So if we get different bids, here's what normally happens when people are newer, and then the results are not what they're looking for. As they're newer, like it's kind of hard for you to imagine telling a contractor on the photo on the left that you want your property to look like the photo on the right. Would you guys agree with that? Kind of hard to explain. Hey, contractor, this ugly house on this left, I need it to look like this one on the right. This is part of progress, right? So as you're looking at the property on the left, we changed where the tub was located. We changed where the toilet was located, and we changed the location of the sink. That's not just going to do your 5th, 6th, and flip and say, oh yeah, we got it, we know how to make it work. That comes with progress, and that's important of finding different contractors bid, and you're going to want to leverage people who have a lot more experience than you. You go to the next one, please, Jordy. So there's 4 formulas that I feel are extremely important to know. What I'd like you guys to do on the toolbar to keep you guys all engaged while you're eating your dinner is type in what you actually think all of these acronyms stand for. ROI, CCR, CAD, NOI, IRR, and MAO. You guys can type in all of these, as many as you know. What do all of these stand for? Okay, I'm going to wait 30 seconds. I'm going to let everyone participate because these are different acronyms to help you guys invest to get the returns you're looking for as you progress. Keep going. We're going to let you guys do another 30 seconds. All right, Jordy, we're going to have you jump in here. Actually, I'm gonna ask you last. Let's see, Deepak, what does number A stand for, please?
Which one?
Number A. A is an apple.
Oh, return on investment. ROI is return on investment.
You got it. Return on investment. Good. Thank you for sharing. Let's go with Ms. Diamond. What do you think number B stands for? She's having a challenge with her.
Yeah, I'm laughing because I know the return on investment is the only one they can recognize.
Okay, that's okay. Cool. So CCR is cash on cash return.
Okay.
Okay, good. Cash on cash returns. All right, Jordy, what do you think CAD stands for?
Something about Canadian dollar futures or something. I don't know.
Oh my gosh. Listen, he doesn't. See, CAD is an actual. Sorry, guys, working on things at my parents' house. I'm in and out. All right. So CAD, we're not sure. NOI. Jordy, let's redeem yourself. What does NOI stand for?
It's net operating income.
Awesome. Adam York, what does IRR stand for?
Internal rate of return.
Fantastic. I would ask Elliot, but he's working at his parents' house, which I totally respect. I'm going to go back to Jordy. What does MAO stand for?
Maximum acceptable offer.
Good. Maximum acceptable offer or maximum allowable offer, okay? So, as you guys get familiar with these formulas, then you will get better results. Then you can start calculating different returns to increase your revenue. So
Matt, what was C again? I'm just thinking of Jordy saying that Canadian.
Yeah, Jordy was just making that up. Jordy, do you really remember what CAD means?
No, I literally Googled CAD real estate investing, and it pulled up Canadian dollar futures. And I was like, oh, all right, I don't know.
So, CAD is an AutoCAD. You guys know what AutoCAD is for drafting? Someone's car in the background. So, I put that on there on purpose because different acronyms mean different things to different people. So, here's your action item number G. You can either pay someone else to pencil these out for each deal, or you can learn how to do it yourself. This is my own personal opinion. I think it's better that if you guys want to earn the returns you're looking for, that you're going to learn how to pencil these out quickly. And then if you learn how to pencil them out, then you can train or teach other people how to get you the information you're looking for. So, great action item. So here's my comment for you. I want to go back real quick. I want you guys to pick one of these items and just get more familiar with how to use them as you invest in real estate. So if you've already know 3 or 4 of them, don't focus on that. Just pick a new one and learn how to calculate that for the next 30 days. And then you're going to pick up better returns to help you guys out. We can go to the next one. Thank you. So here's a good example of another deal. So why I like showing houses of returns. I bought this property in about 2011, and I want you guys to type in how many different things you see that we've improved on the property. So let me say it again. How many different things do you see that we've improved on the property? And I want you guys to type it in the toolbar of how many different things that you see we've improved on the property. So I'm gonna pick Jordy to see what he's come up with. I got Courtney's iPhone. We got Kristen. So how many different things do you guys see? And I'm gonna wait 30 seconds for you guys to type in what you guys have come up with. Take another 30 seconds. This is when real wealth creation comes, is in the details. Man, I love this Deepak participating. You got to get this guy more often, Jordy. Okay, cool. So good job. There's 8 different items. So I'm going to share. We're going to let Jordy share. Jordy, why don't you unmute yourself and tell us what you see, please?
So you added a different door, the stairs, you fixed the concrete, you did windows, siding, including stucco and the vinyl siding. You did new soffit or new gutters. You changed the fence. What did I say? 8, and that's 5, 6, 7. And I'm going to say you took it in a different time of year.
All right, hey guys, here's what we did real quick. I'm going to have Jordy point the mouse because this is how you utilize virtual calls. And I want to use this as an example of right now, due to COVID, you got to be, I'm going to call it COVID compliant. You need to be sensitive with other people's concerns with how to be able to invest. So Jordy, go to the left of the left picture. You'll notice we got rid of the shutter, number one. Number two, there's a huge electrical line just hanging out that we relocated. That's number two. We relocated the electricity. That was not safe. Number three, next to that line, you'll notice we enclosed that window. There's an old window there that totally did not make sense to have a freaking window there. So we re-stuccoed the house to get rid of the window. So right there, there's three. Number four, we painted the soffit fascia brown. So we painted the soffit fascia brown. Number five, we added new gutters. And if you'll notice, the gutter gets extended away from the concrete, so then you have less of a trip and fall hazard. Trust me, I've been sued for $1 million, and I settled last year. Okay, had the privilege of going to court. Okay. Next, we replaced the windows. So you guys will notice we replaced the windows. We added a door where the window was, because there used to be a door. We added a stairway where the door needed to go. We painted the siding the same color as the house. So we're sharing how we reduce expenses. We also trimmed the trees, even though you can't tell. We trimmed the trees, and that's everything we did on that. And we cleaned up the debris on the asphalt. So how many things was that, Jordy?
11.
11. Thank you, Adam.
Thanks, Adam.
So knowing what I know now, what I would have done differently, here's where I was too cheap. But we sold this property in 2011, so we weren't going to get a huge value. This property is actually on like 5th East and 3100 South approximately. Where the barn door looking door is, I would have paid extra and put a garage door in there, like a standard one, because it would make the garage more marketable. So that's just lack of experience, guys, right? So I'm sharing all these different things that we did to make our property better, to make a profit. So let's go to the next one, please. So as we think about that, number 5 is we're going to establish systems. When I first started in 2005, I had 0 system. The only system was be as aggressive as possible and just make it happen, which I'm okay with that system. I just want to get better with it today, right? So here's an example of rentals. When do your tenants move in? When do they move out, right? How you're going to process that. Will the water be turned off when the tenants move out? Man, we've had water challenges, especially in the fall and winter, that we forget to do that. Who's transferring utilities? Who's turning them on? What's the minimum heat? So a good example with our rental properties, we normally are advertising our rental properties 1 to 2 months before they move out, because we know when our tenant's moving out. When we know our tenant's moving out, we maximize our goal to have a 3-day turnover. A 3-day turnover means the tenant moves out, we work on the property in 3 days, and a new tenant moves in. That's how you increase your cash flow. And there's not a lot of companies that are able to accommodate that or even are that aggressive, but that's what makes the difference of the amateurs and the pro for financial freedom that all of you guys are looking to do. As we go to the next one, please. So I like this example of a before and after photo with systems, right? So if you'll notice, what did we do on this property differently? So if you guys can type in the toolbar, what did we do differently on this property? We actually didn't do that much, but when you look at it, it seems like we did a ton. So what did we do differently? And I'm going to let Adam jump in. You're going to unmute yourself.
Okay.
Okay, what did we do differently on this, Adam?
You opened the door to be much bigger. I mean, twice the size probably. You did the new flooring on all of it.
What type of flooring did it look like we did?
I can't tell. It looks like is that the same hardwood in the kitchen, or like in that room to the right? And
no,
carpet.
That's laminate and carpet.
Okay, laminate and carpet. Cool.
Yep.
And then I imagine you took down the wood paneling on the side and painted that. You put a fan.
Yep. Okay.
and then you obviously you staged it as well. Can't see much else.
Yep. If you'll notice, the crown is gone.
You took down the crown and you put new base.
Yep, we put new base. Good.
Everything.
So here's a good example of amateur versus learning how to do it. On the hardwood, if you guys will notice, the hardwood was actually in excellent condition. But normally, do you think you're going to normally have nicer flooring in the kitchen or nicer flooring in the family room? Why don't you guys type it in the toolbar? Are you normally going to have nicer flooring in the kitchen or nicer flooring in the family room? And I'm going to ask Courtney if Courtney can unmute her iPhone. She just loves spending money on her kids. Courtney, what are you going to do? Are you going to have nicer flooring in the kitchen or nicer flooring in the family room?
I would think that you would put nicer flooring in the kitchen because that's where a lot of messes happen. So you want it nicer so you can clean it up easier. Whereas LVP, it might get ruined easier. And then in the living room, you're able to put a rug down so that it naturally already kind of protects the living room and kids kind of destroy the living room. That's just my thought.
Wow. Is this Courtney, like Courtney Clark?
No, this is Courtney Peterson. I work with Courtney Clark, though.
Damn, dude. I was like, you're smart. Where do we get this girl from, Jordy? All right, so Courtney Peterson. I gotta look her up. Okay, so Courtney Peterson, I would agree with what you said. A couple things to take into consideration with this, guys, is let's say, hypothetically, we refinished the flooring. And let's assume you're paying other people to do it because we're not skilled craftsmen. If you're going to paint the floor, or if you're going to refinish the flooring, it's going to go for like $3 to $4 a foot right now, okay? And then Courtney brought up a good point. If you're going to refinish the flooring, you're probably going to put nicer flooring in the kitchen. So nicer flooring in the kitchen, would you rather have refinished hardwood or laminate or engineered hardwood in the bathroom or in the kitchen, guys? Most of the time, you're going to want something nicer than refinished. Well, you're not going to go put refinished flooring in a property in West Valley normally. That's going to cost you $6 to $7. Now, Jordy might put it in because he's like on Tinder right now, focusing on his wife. Yeah, of course. With that being said, we learned that we want to put carpet because it's less expensive, $1.60 a foot, maybe $1.80, and then either put laminate or vinyl. We don't want to put tile in. And these are the different things that you learn as investors so that you guys can get better results, right? So let's go to the next one, Jordy. So property criteria, what does that mean? So there's a lady named Robin Thompson. She's got big red hair, kind of like if Jordy grew out his hair. Big red hair. She's done tons of flips. I've seen her speak twice. I saw her speak in Arizona when I was on vacation, and then I went to a real estate seminar. She is called the Queen of Rehab. She's rehabbed tons of properties. If you guys know who, what's their name? Fortune Builders. You guys know who Fortune Builders are? Jordy, Fortune Builders?
No.
Paul and Thad. So they're still around. They're in San Diego. They do tons of real estate investing coaching. She actually taught them, and then they ran with it. They were on HGTV, like flip this house type of show during the last recession. Okay, so she actually taught. Here's some certain criteria, and I think this is that's important for you guys, of properties not to buy. So one, you do not want to buy a rental that is smaller than 1,000 square feet, ideally. And Jordy bought a flip that's a little less than 1,000 square feet, and he had an amazing experience, right? So ideally for a rental property, you don't want to buy a property that's smaller than 1,000 square feet. You're going to have higher turnover. Number two, you don't want to buy a property that's 2 bedrooms or less. You're just not going to get as much in rent, ideally. So you're going to buy a property with 1,000 square feet or more. You're going to buy a property with 3 bedrooms or more. No white elephants. What does a white elephant mean? I do not want to buy a property that is a single-family residency with an unpermitted mother-in-law apartment that you cannot go up or down the stairs, right? Like, I'm not going to buy those properties. Now, I'm fine to buy a single-family residency with a mother-in-law apartment, but I don't want the property to have to be walled off to buy because that is harder to finance and harder to resell. We call those white elephants. Another example is you're going to see a lot of people promote duplexes and triplexes that are illegally, they're not permitted, they're not correct, and they're just not good investments. The fourth one is a basement house. I share these on Facebook. These basement houses are freaking ugly. They are really challenging to get financing on it. And it's crazy that people are so interested in dealitis that they buy these properties. Number 5 is busy street. So I would consider a busy street as a double yellow line. A single yellow line you might want to consider. If you think the house is busy, remember what you buy is you have to sell. You might want to go there at like 5 o'clock in the afternoon to see how busy it is, and you might be like, oh yeah, this doesn't work for me. And the last one is 1950s or older. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean don't buy houses in the 50s. You just need to be more prepared if they're older. They could have knob and tube wiring. They could have clay pipe for the sewer line. They could have just different challenges. So I just gave you guys a criteria that I wish I knew when I started because I did not know this stuff. And I bought all of these things. I bought houses less than 1,000 square feet, 2-bedroom houses, non-conforming use. I've actually never bought a basement house. But I bought houses on busy street, did not make good money, and I bought houses older than 1950. The oldest house I bought was pre-1900. We just barely sold the property in Ogden this year. We had it for 14 years. It did not go up in value much, and I'm so happy that we sold it. So as we go to the next one, please. So here's a good example of like before and after. So sometimes we'll buy properties from other people, and if you'll notice, there's a lot of things to take into consideration when you're modeling. What you demo, you've got to fix, right? So I like showing this as an example because you don't know what's behind the walls. And if you pull this behind the walls, then you got to bring it up to code. And you got to bring it up to 2020 code, not 1955 code. So this gives you different examples of what you demo, you've got to put back together. So I think you guys as real estate investors, a lot of times you're like, I want to go buy a property that just needs a lot of work. That's not necessarily true. You want to buy a property that's a good investment. And I think a good investment, the more you analyze properties, the better you're going to get. So let's go to the next one, please. So CPA and attorney. Actually, as we are chatting about that, a CPA and attorney, here's a couple questions. It's 7 o'clock right now, and it's 5 o'clock somewhere in the world. You guys know that comment. As we get a break, Adam, what are your top 3 takeaways? I'm going to ask all of you guys, so you guys are going to jump on this, because this gives us a good idea of how to help you. Adam, what are your top 3 takeaways thus far?
On what we've covered so far?
Thus far, what are your top 3 takeaways?
I like establishing a focus where I'm not jumping all over the place because I am in my first 10 years, and you and Jordy would probably laugh at me sometimes because I am kind of all over the place with my thoughts and my visions and what I want to accomplish. That's one thing, establish that. I do know most of the formulas, but I feel like there's a couple that I need to know better. That's something I need to work on. And then also just being intentional about your criteria, because I've made a couple of these mistakes too, and I've learned a lot from it. It's cost me money, but I've learned a lot from just older houses and non-conforming situations, and even just yesterday we talked about some non-conforming houses that I almost bought. So be careful with your criteria.
Okay, good. Good. Those are all good things. Ms. Diamond, what are your top 3 takeaways right now?
Well, I have a system, definitely. I want to be honest, I don't have any system. I have to rent a property, I have investing in real estate, but I need to focus and do a better job. And I think when you're talking about having some kind of criteria, I think that's really important. When you mentioned that we don't have to spend a lot of money, to invest or to do a lot of job in the investment property, to fixing a lot of stuff. We don't have to do that. I think we have probably a really different idea. A lot of people have different idea about how to invest in rental property, and then many people think, okay, I need to find them a property where I have to invest a lot of money and do a lot of fixing. So I don't want that. So I'm with you in the, in the idea we have to maybe to work smarter, to invest our money without fixing us, because the idea is to have a lot of to have more return. That's what I think. Is you gave me a lot of more learning with this training, so I appreciate that.
Good.
I just want to be honest. I don't have any system.
You don't have any systems?
No at all. So no at all. So no like you.
Well, well, we're not trying to compare you to me, and here's the cool thing, though, or me, Jordy, to you, but we're sharing with you what you can do, right? So if you're following what we're doing, it will help you establish better systems. So that's good. Thank you for sharing that. Courtney, not Courtney Clark, the other Courtney that's not married to Jordy. What are your top 3 takeaways thus far, please?
Well, first of all, I greatly apologize for joining a little bit later in the call. But thus far, I'm just getting into this. And so for me, my takeaway is to take a lot of the information that you've given me and do a lot of my own research as to what that means to me, how to implement that, how to make a system out of it. And then, takeaways as like not just jumping into anything. You want to make sure you do your due diligence. And so really those are kind of my takeaways so far.
Good. So is that 3?
No, that was 2. My third one is to just keep getting on Zoom calls like this, going to any events that I possibly can, just so that I can continue getting more information that I feel like is good information.
Good. Jordy, what do you think are the best 3 types of events or different things like that for people that are new for a second? And I like doing this in the middle, guys, ladies and gentlemen, just because it gives you an idea for you to kind of decompress and as we keep going. So, Jordy, what do you think are the top 3 things that people need to utilize to get more information?
So I think first and foremost, we have local groups that used to meet in person. Now they kind of meet in person and virtually via these Zoom calls and stuff, called RIAs, Real Estate Investment Associations. It's like $100 to join for a year. And by far, it's the best return on investment I think you'll ever get in real estate, is just learning more, learning from different people, hearing different points of view at those real estate investment associations. So I serve on the board of SLURIA, which is Salt Lake Real Estate Investor Association. Matt serves on the board of UVRIA, Utah Valley Real Estate Investor Association. And frankly, I go to both of them, and then there's a few others that I occasionally go to. I think that is important. Podcasts, there's a couple different podcasts out there that they're free. There's good content. With those, though, I think you have to be careful because you can get information overload and learn about, how to buy self-storage facilities or assisted living, or like there's a million different ways to invest in real estate. And I think that it can dilute your efforts by focusing on, what someone else is doing that has worked, and instead of like what you want to do that works. So that'd be two things I would say. And then Matt and I occasionally do these events together, but I definitely have Matt be my consultant and mentor, and I go to his classes as well. because I've learned so much from just going and learning from people who are years ahead of where I am and where I want to be, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's awesome. So, Courtney, I like that you shared that, and we'll keep asking everyone else and keep transitioning with this. The RIA meetings for, I'm going to call it $150 each. What I would do, to be honest with you, I would have you and your partner, you and your spouse, you and whoever to join together so you guys can actually show up. Since 2008, I went to every single RIA meeting until probably 2 years ago if I was in town. So that means I'm like once a month, or once a week, I'm hitting a meeting. That's how you network, develop different relationships, and you can get a bunch of contacts. The second thing is I study every day. I study 30 to 45 minutes every day, non-negotiable, just like I brush my teeth, right? Right now, today I just finished the Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. My team that I work with, they have a book club. This month, in the third quarter, the book club was Crush It by Gary Vaynerchuk, 10X by Grant Cardone, and Compound Effect by Darren Hardy in that order. And I read those books in the beginning of 2016, and it literally enhanced my studies. And I assigned those books as a reminder for my team, and I told them I would listen to all three of them this month, and I did. So if I can listen to all three of them in a month, they can listen to them in 3 months, right? The third thing is I'm a huge self-development person. I have coaches all the time that I pay. My current monthly coaching budget is $7,000 a month that I pay right now. So my coach is currently in Sweden. He's a former venture capitalist, angel investor from some Silicon Slopes companies, and he has a huge financial IQ that I'm wanting to develop. So I think who you learn from makes a huge difference. And the reason I'm sharing this for free for you guys is because Jordy and I have a relationship that we want to help more people, and if we can help more people learn this information, you're going to be able to make a bigger impact for your family. So I think those are really important. Elliot just said, I've been able to catch up everything, but here are my three. Dude, I love that you're typing this in. 1, practice, practice, practice. 2, network and keep making connections. There are many people who have been in this game much longer and have seen a lot. 3, keep an open mind and patient. Like everything in real estate will take time, experience, and consistent effort. Awesome. We're going to do a couple more and keep transitioning because I think this gives a good self-reflection. Deepak, what are your top 3 takeaways real quick, buddy?
Mine are 2. I'll say do your research, and second is make sure your motive of investment is clear to yourself. Like, what are you trying to gain with that investment? What's your goal of that investment?
Good. Awesome. What's your third one?
I'm not sure. I just came up with 2.
No, that's good. Okay, I'll make sure I get you a third at the end. Okay, KVK. I like those acronyms here, so we'll keep going because I think this is a good reflection that we can hear what you guys are doing. Could you repeat the 3 books you read? Absolutely. Number 1 is I'll say it a little slower, but I love it. Crush It by Gary Vaynerchuk. He has a lot of books. He has Crushed It, like he did it, but the first one is Crush It, like he's going to crush it, okay? The second one is 10X by Grant Cardone. And if you guys want to follow me on Facebook or like it, I make a lot of comments about it. Then the third one is The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. So Crush It is like all over your face, like very loud personality. I love Gary Vaynerchuk and Grant Cardone, and to me, Darren Hardy's like a state president. Just very softer, but I like him. So good. KBK, if you want to share real quick, what were your top takeaways, and we'll keep transitioning into CPAs. And he or she or they are not responding back. Above in the chat. Oh, okay, cool. Thank you. Above in the chat. Takeaways: improve and refine my systems. Continue to make checklists so I don't forget or repeat mistakes. 3, sit down with a spouse, update our game plan for real estate next steps. Awesome. Okay, cool. Good. So as we keep transitioning, I think that's a good little reflection for you guys. Here's where we get a little deeper. CPA and attorney. When you guys are so remember, the comment is, knowing what I know now, what would I do different, right? So I'm sharing with you guys, I wish I would have known this stuff when I first got involved, because I'm probably 12 to 15 years ahead of you. So I have conference calls with my CPA and attorney multiple times a year, because I need to make sure I have they're looking or confirming things that I'm not thinking of. Now, if you only own 1 or 2 properties, you might not need to do that annually or multiple times a year or a month. But that's probably a good thing to review once a year. That's probably worth a couple $100. Even do like a 30-minute or an hour review of where your financial goals are. And you got to make sure they're both good, right? Like, I've gone through 4 CPAs in my career. The one I've been with, I've worked with, or accountants, I've worked with for like 13 years. So I had multiple at the same time. So I think that's important, is having a competent executive team to help you with where you want to go. I want to go to the next one, please, Jordy. All right, good. So no one wants to talk about CPAs or accountants that much. You want to know what we can do with remodels. So if you guys will notice on this one, as a quick example, this is the same house that when I showed you the before and after photo of like, hey, are you guys going to share with the contractor what that house will look like? No, you're not, right? You've got to be able to have the design. The reason I like this house, this photo, which is the same project, you'll notice we relocated the tub. Sorry, we kept the tub the same. We relocated the toilet and the sink. So each time you're moving pipes, it does cost money. Now, if you think about it, when you go walk in, most of the time, you don't want to walk in and have your toilet right there. I don't know why they did that. More when you, maybe because they had to go faster, who knows. More you want to have it in the middle, right? So what we're doing is we're just making modifications with current design trends. So it's important for you to be familiar with, hey, what's going to be the best? If we can go to the next one, Jordy. Okay, what you buy, you must sell. So some examples with that. I want you guys to do me a favor and write down, if you own a home, actually type this in the tool bar. What year did you buy your first house, and how much did you buy it for? If you don't mind, just write down, if you bought your first house, how much did you buy your first house for, and type it in the toolbar. I bet Courtney's got some some peach schnapps in that coffee. So how much did you guys buy your first house for, and type in what year it was. So let's see real quick. We got Jordy, $215,000 for $164,000. Adam in 2011 at 23, you bought a house for $231,000. That's awesome. Anyone else buy property? If you don't own a property, just say I don't own a property, which is okay. So in 2004, I bought my first house for $163,000. All right, Deepak, awesome. 2019, 415. So I bought that property in Orem, Utah. And we'll actually have Jordy go off script at the end with the OFHEO website. You don't need to do it right now, but we'll do that at the end, and we'll give you guys an example of the importance of appreciation for the property, because I think that'll be a good exercise for you guys to consider. What you buy is what you have to sell, right? So what was trendy in 2005, would you guys agree, is different in 2013 and is different in 2020. Would you guys agree? The color schemes, the countertops, the type of cabinets, the flooring, both carpet, laminate. Who would have thought we're talking about laminate, waterproof, tongue and groove flooring, right? Like that was not even around 5 years ago. So, and neither was COVID-19, right? So the point is there's all these things that are different. Solar is way more trendy now, but the return on investment's not there yet, right? So it's just taking into consideration what you buy, you must sell. And I like HGTV for trendy stuff, but I'm not normally mimicking mine. I want to cater to what most people like, not just that mid-century modern hipster type of house, because at the end of the day, you got to be appealing to everyone. So want to share the next one, please. Awesome. So this is a great example, again, is what you buy, you have to sell. If you guys will notice, there's really not a lot of difference besides the color the cleanliness, and the carpet. Ooh, you guys like that? I just made that up. The 3 C's. The color, the cleanliness, and the carpet. Dude, I like that one. I gotta write that one down. That's what I took away from today. The 3 C's. Color, cleanliness, and carpet. Awesome. I like this. I like teaching. I get good ideas. Okay? So if you'll notice the 3 C's, yeah, I like the 3 C's. 3 cubed. Cube. Yeah, anyway, we'll run with that.
Did you keep the
Literally
button?
just, nah, I sold the bike. I actually got the idea from Peloton. Like, you guys can just start doing cycling virtually from your house, and in 7 years, you guys will make millions and millions of dollars. And I sold it for like $500, right? That's my bad. So, yeah, but the 3 C's, if you think about it, how we paint our houses now normally makes a difference. So what I did, and we just changed this year, all of our rental properties are the same color. It's called Desert Fawn. You actually saw that in the property that had the West Valley house that I talked about, the laminate versus the carpet. That color is Desert Fawn. This property on the right is a flip property. This was our flip color 2 colors ago. I forgot what it's called now, but it's important for you to remodel your property so you can have an awesome turnover. So that's important, is what you buy, you have to sell. Want to go to the next one, Jordy, please? Man, this is huge. This is huge. As often as you can, get a home inspection to CYA, cover your assets, right? We do sewer line inspections on all properties because I've spent $40,000 in the last 24 months on stuff I should have done, on repairs or knew about. So when we get bids, as we're doing fix and flips, we can send the contractor bids or with the photos, so it's way easier for them to identify. As we give them the bids, we can then send it to 3 different contractors. So question for you, Jordy, as you send a scope of work from your contractor or use a WhatsApp or a Zoom or FaceTime or whatever you want, how's that helped you out the last 6 months?
It's been huge. I will typically shoot a video, upload it to YouTube, and then send them the YouTube link. And then if there's anything that I need to get more technical on, I'll take a closer picture of it, send the picture, and then detail out kind of the scope of work. Hey, this is what we want to do, and then, be able to get a bid back. And it makes it nice because typically I'm not having to get, 5 different contractors in there at the same time. They don't have to drive up to Roy or West Valley or wherever. In their busy day, they can just take 2 or 3 minutes, watch the video, and go, okay, it's going to be about this much, right? And stuff will always come up, so I know that may fluctuate a little bit, but it's saved a lot of time because then I don't have to run up there and meet each subcontractor and say, this is what we need to do and take time out of my day. I can do it once and, get 4 bids in the same amount of time that it would have taken me to do 1. So very efficient. It's helped me a lot.
I love efficiency. So here's a couple ideas for you guys. When Jordy said you can do this with your rentals and you can do this with your fix and flips. And if you're going to buy from wholesalers, here's the key. You have them take a video, and as they take the video and upload it to YouTube, they can text you the link or they can email you the link very quick. You can forward the link to someone else very quickly. And then if you do that, you can tell them or go over it with them what part of the video is important. And that's about efficiency. And I think Courtney with the iPhone, you're the other Courtney that I've talked to once or twice. Am I right? Give me a thumbs up. Yep. Okay, cool. Good. So, for example, if they're owning a staging company, they're giving out bids, they know if I email them what the property looks like, they have the dimensions, normally they're not going to have to go drive out there, right? I'm being conscientious of their time. So
Yeah.
That's what I like. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, yeah, absolutely. It's super helpful.
Yeah, so like I said, what are we doing now, or 10 things I wish I would have done differently, is we're giving you different hacks or compressions with how to work with that. The other comment is asking questions to your contractors to learn more about your trade is we are selling a house tomorrow, and they asked the buyer asked us to address the air conditioning, and we went to go have a contractor go service it, and they tell us we have to get a new compressor, and we're like, no, that's like $900, especially it's hot as hell outside, right? Hot in Utah right now. They're going to charge a premium because they can. So we paid for another contractor to go out there, and they said they can't fix it and change out the AC. It's $4,500. We're like, I don't want to spend $4,500 because they know we got to close. So what we did instead is we just reduced the price by $3,000. We told the buyer to make a claim when they buy the property to get their air conditioner fixed. So they're going to get two benefits. One, we stay on schedule. Two, they get a $3,000 price reduction. And three, they can handle it however they want with their home warranty company. That's a win-win-win, right? We're closing on time, we're giving them a price reduction, and then they can make a claim on their warranty. So if they want to upgrade or do other stuff, they can. So those are important as you're utilizing home inspection, then you have checklists like Ms. Diamond shared earlier to get the results you're looking for. We go to the next one, please. Awesome. So I just sold this house today. So this house is fun. I bought this house twice. Okay, I bought it from a wholesaler about 11 years ago. When I bought it from a wholesaler, we fixed and flipped it and sold it. If you guys will notice, how many things differently can you guys see on this property? So I want you guys to type this in real quick. How many different things can you see that we've done on this property? Do another 30 seconds, type it in. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to let each one of you just tell me one thing and see how many we come up with, because this is super important. I'm going to go Jordy last. Adam, what is one thing that you see we did to this property? Just one.
Flooring.
Flooring. Good. My man Deepak, what's one thing that you see differently that we did to this property in addition to flooring?
You added some closet door on the back, like near 90 on the right side.
You got it. Got a closet door. Good. Courtney, what's one thing that we did to this property?
You changed the AC system.
Good. Wait, you don't like that wall unit?
No.
I would agree. We don't like that wall unit either, okay? Good. Let's see. I got KBK. KBK. Oh, good. Yeah, you're on point. Paint. Freaking good. All right, Elliot, if you're on there, what's one thing that you see that we did differently on this property? And wait 15 to 30 seconds if he's on there and he can participate. And then Ms. Diamond, what is one thing that you guys see? Or go ahead, Elliot.
Oh, sorry guys, I'm getting a look at it right now. Did you move the wall, or you put the closet in? Did someone already say that?
Yeah, so there's a closet on the right, and then if you look at the bifold doors on the right also, there was no bifold doors in there. So we actually use space better by opening that up.
That's great.
Yeah, good. All right, thank you, Elliot. And Simon, what's one thing that we did?
Well, I don't know if you mentioned the base, the wall, and change the windows.
Yep, we changed the windows.
And base
Okay,
too.
Base, yep. So here's what we did. Number one, change the windows. Number two, got rid of the wall unit. Number three, on the back wall, we put closet doors in to maximize the space better in the back of the house. Number four, new carpet. Number five, new paint. Number six, we staged the house. Number six, we put a new light in, even though it looks kind of similar to the other one. Number seven, if you'll look to the right of the light, we actually put a swamp cooler run in each individual unit. At the time, we could get a $1,000 credit back from Rocky Mountain Power instead of putting in central air. So lots of different things that we learn as tell, there's a lot of different things to learn how to invest. Number 10, workout. Man, this one's a good one. This is like the fifth time I've talked about working out today. I need to do it more. So from 2008 to 2014, on average, I worked 60 to 70 hours a week. Okay, I worked a lot. I worked as a mortgage lender, which I'm still doing today. I also did real estate investing every Saturday, a couple hours on Sunday, and I just got my reps in. Now, I was married in 2007, and in 2008, we started going down with the real estate market, right? Had a huge recession, which we're in a recession right now. And knowing this, something I would have done different is I would not have worked as much. Like, let's just say I worked out 3 days a week for an hour. If I would have worked out 3 days a week for an hour, that's 3 hours. I'd be in better shape now than I am. And it just shows the importance of compounding, positively or not, right? And as we focus on what we could do differently, I still would have worked, just a little bit less, been a little bit more efficient. And that's what I think is important as we're sharing this with you guys today, as Jordy wraps up the next 30 minutes or so, is he's going to give you guys tools and skills to help you guys get what you're looking for financially. And as we get tools and skills with what we're looking for financially, then we're going to create that financial freedom that we're looking for. I want to go to the last slide real quick. This helps transition back to him. Take it away, Jordy.
Cool. So this sweet little house, Matt and I actually both had a part to play in this. So a couple of things here that I just wanted to share that I learned this year investing in real estate. So you'll notice a couple of different things. Actually, what do you notice that we did differently from the left to the right? And you can go ahead and type in the chat bar or just unmute yourself.
You changed the window height,
Yeah,
size.
yeah, I changed the window height.
You also added cabinets, flooring. You changed out the light on the top.
Yep.
You would have had to have moved the water where the sink is.
Yeah. So when I bought this house, this was halfway through demo. Yes, Matt.
All right, so if you guys think about this real quick, by moving the window up, you would have had to fix the exterior of the property, right? So if the exterior of the property is brick, siding, wood, because he moved the window up, the outside of the house you would have to also finish. A lot of people don't think about that. The second thing is you'll notice the gas line on the bottom right-hand corner demoed. He moved the gas line on the opposite wall. You'll also notice that where the water line is to the left of the window, he had to move that water stack to the right because it's right underneath the window. So he would have tied in to the dishwasher still, or he just has a longer run with the P-trap. He has cabinets, he has countertops. If you'll notice where the range was, I think the range on the opposite wall. Is that correct, Jordy? You totally flip-flopped it on the other side.
Yeah. The
correct?
range.
Yep.
The range was right here. The fridge was right here. There was nothing right here, and then there was the sink and totally like crappy cabinets here.
Yep.
And crappy cabinets here. So it just wasn't functional. There was zero countertop space, and the window was totally. It made the kitchen flow like not at all.
Not fluid. Awesome. Good job.
So here's a couple of things I learned while we were renovating this property. You'll also notice here, you see the width of this. we actually had to frame out this entire wall because the floor wasn't level, so we had to level it, and that caused other issues, and we ended up having to basically add a whole nother wall right here to make it plumb. But at the end of the day, there's 3 things I learned flipping this house this year. This was of all the houses I flipped, this was the first one that I got close to having to extend on hard money. By literally 3 days, we closed with our end buyer, which ended up costing me more in interest because I held the high interest hard money loan for longer than I anticipated. This was only a 2-bedroom house, and knowing what I know now, I would have probably looked for a different deal that had at least 3 bedrooms because everyone that went to the house didn't like that it just had 2 bedrooms, which narrowed my buyer pool. And it was a really old house that we still couldn't get the floors exactly level. So the criteria that Matt had up here, it totally reaffirmed to me at least a 3-bedroom greater than 1,000 square feet, because this house was 651 square feet. Great learning experience, but I would never do it again. So, with that being said, real estate investing is a progression. So, this is another house that I flipped earlier this year that sold much quicker. We actually got multiple offers and definitely made a little bit more money on this one. And I think this is a great contrast between the two, because this is just a tiny old house and it wasn't very functional. Great starter home for someone, but there was a bigger buyer pool for this house even after we fixed it up, both of them. So a lot of people ask, hey, why should I invest in Utah? I can go buy a property in Philadelphia or Memphis for $50,000 that rents for $700-800 a month. And why do you guys think you would invest in Utah versus other places? I'm curious. Or would you? Would you invest in somewhere over Utah?
I think I would, because I feel like Utah is only going to be growing more and more. And so what you buy today, it'll translate into more money down the road, whereas some of those other places might take a lot longer to get to that point of growth where we're right in it.
To Courtney's exact point, the crazier California gets, the more our market's going to grow in Utah.
Okay, that's fair.
The appreciation is an important part of the wealth. There's a cash flow every month, that's great, but you have to have a wealth picture too. Matt mentioned earlier he has a property in Ogden that they probably cash flowed on it well, but it didn't really appreciate much. That's kind of what you're going to get in some of these Midwest markets. It's not much appreciation here.
Great. So KBK said, invest in my backyard. I like being closer to my properties. I definitely agree with that. I think that's one advantage. You can drive it, touch it, feel it, versus something that's in the Midwest or in the stock market. You just can't touch it, feel it, improve it. Matt, what's up?
Okay, so there's a Facebook group. There's a lot of Facebook groups, but one called Connect Utah. You guys are in it. There's like 15,000 people. And last week I asked in the group, actually promoted this event for you, Jordy, in it.
Oh.
I said, who's the savviest person that you know, and who's the savviest real estate investor that you know? And I got some people saying different individuals, and I asked engaging questions to them because I want to learn. There's people that know a lot that I just don't know, but I want to connect with them. And someone in there connected with me with someone in California that is a lot savvier than I am, and they connected me with their son. And they said how Utah and their son, they are very on point with knowing the California economy. They said, "How's Utah? Unbelievable, nice to meet you. I bet everyone from California is headed your way," right? So the exodus that happened during the last correction is going to happen again, as California is more expensive for state income taxes, and then if people also leave Portland or Oregon or Washington and want a more family-oriented, depending on who they are, right, atmosphere, I just think, like, if someone made the comment about California, I just like Utah's got a lot of insulated positive things, and we can still maximize it just like we did 12 years ago.
Yeah, I agree. Deepak, do you have anything to add? Why would you invest in Utah versus somewhere else?
In my opinion, the Utah market is growing up with all the investments and the tech companies coming in. There's more demand as compared to supply.
Yeah, that's a good point. Cool. Well, let's talk about that. I wanted to give you guys just some data and why. Definitely myself and probably Matt. Matt, you can jump in anytime, but why we like the Utah market versus other markets. So I know that my part has been very data driven, but I think it's interesting that we do our research and figure out what's going to work for us versus just taking whatever someone says at face value and going with it, because everyone's at a different point in life and you need to know where you're at and where you want to go if you want to get there, right? Very similar, like if you wanted to drive to Denver, we all know, hey, you have to head east, but how you get there, you can go a couple different ways. So anyways, this is why I think investing locally makes sense. So if we look right here, the national average appreciation from quarter 1 of last year to quarter 2 of last year was 5.7%. So just as a blanket across the US, 5.7%. If you look right here, the mountain division, which we are in the mountain, had a 7.99% appreciation growth, right? Which is pretty cool. But if we look at the long haul, Utah, or the mountain division, is 291% growth since 1991. And you look at a lot of these other places, and they just don't have anywhere close to that, right? So overall, this just says, hey, we're having greater migration coming in. Now, fun fact, Utah was 4th out of 50, it's actually 51 states, for annual appreciation last year at 9%. So it's pretty cool to me that you can go and you can buy a house with 5, 10, 20% down, and the whole property appreciates at 9% in Utah on average, but you're growing the 9% of the asset value versus just 9% of your down payment, if that makes sense. So, really quick, this slide right here.
Sorry, could you please break that down as an example?
Yeah, that's good. So, if I were to buy a $400,000 house and I put 10% down, that's a $40,000 down payment. If that $400,000 house appreciates at 9% a year, that's just under $40,000 that the house went up in value. So in 1 year, it's worth $440,000, right? I only put $40,000 in, but I now have $80,000 of equity. So in essence, I have 100% return on my investment because my property has grown by 10% when I only put 10% down. So very similar, if you put 20% down, you're leveraging 80% with the bank's money, but you get 100% of the appreciation. It's not like the bank whoever holds your mortgage, Wells Fargo or Intercap Lending, will come to you and say, hey, cool, your property appreciated $40,000 last year. We want you to write us a check for $38,000 because we've got 95% of the risk. You get 100% of the upside when you leverage and purchase real estate, which you can't do that in the stock market very easily or at all. So is that clear enough, Matt? Do you like that? Would you agree?
Ask the audience. That's why I have 94 rental properties, right? So I think it's important that people can appreciate the long-term play, and knowing that you're sharing it is different than me because you're newer to it than I am, and you understand the concept where a lot of wealth can really be impactful for everyone.
Yeah. Even just buying one or two extra properties for people makes, I think, a big difference long term versus those that don't strategically invest and plan for the future. So, real quick here, this is from the same report, and we'll probably go into it a little bit further based off of what you said, Matt. This kind of just breaks down the 100 largest metro areas. In the past year, the last quarter, the last 5 years, and since 1991. So where, as we've seen this year, every year can be dramatically different for various reasons in our lives. I think it's interesting to look at the big picture. So if we look at Salt Lake City, Utah right here, we're third on this list, and it's not necessarily ordered, it's just alphabetical. Had you bought a property in 1991 and held on to it until today, on average, it would have appreciated 423%. So if you would have bought a property for $100,000, that same property today would be worth almost $450,000, right? And since it's almost 30 years, had you not refinanced to go buy more properties or go buy a Peloton or go buy a boat, it would almost be paid for, which is pretty cool. If we contrast that with the San Francisco market, which is one of the more expensive metro areas, you'll see that, and it's interesting, every time I do this year over year, Utah is growing and they are not growing as quickly. They're at 379%. So the same house in Salt Lake is worth 423% after 27 years. And in San Francisco, it's at 379%. And they only had a 2% appreciation last year. So I think it's interesting to look at this as, you could get into the macroeconomics of where people are moving, and people are always trying to find better deals and better lifestyle given everything they have, I think. So, does anyone have a question or aha here? No? Okay, cool. 2014, I sold this property to a client of mine. He paid $140,000. It was in West Valley City. It's about 2,300 square feet. And it needed some work. It was bank owned, needed some work. He purchased it, put a little bit of money into it. I think he put $15,000 into it. And then he rented it for $1,200 a month. So just to show my last example, a very similar house, I just ran comps on it the other day. Very similar house, you can see that it's a little bit smaller, built in about the same year. It even looks pretty similar, right? Within a half a mile radius, it is in backup position at $304,000. So I'm going to say that today's value on that property is anywhere between $300,000 and $315,000 from the $140,000 that he paid in 2014. And coincidentally, it also would rent for close to $1,800 a month instead of the $1,200 a month in 2014. So all things being equal, if his payment didn't change, he would be cash flowing an additional $500-$600 today just after holding on to it, as long as he kept his rent in line or close to in line with the market. What I see a lot of people do who self-manage or just aren't taking the time like you guys are to learn how to get better and how to invest in real estate and get better returns, they would have kept the same tenant in there for 5-6 years and they'd still be paying $1,200 a month, because every time their lease renews, they did not say, hey, the market's $1,350 and so we're just going to charge you $1,295, right? Because as things get more expensive, just naturally happens in our economy, if you keep this person in there, they may stay a few years longer, but you can leave a lot of money on the table and not maximize your returns by just doing slight modifications and learning how to do things a little bit better. So, yeah, just a little tip there. Real quick, this was a property that we fixed up and sold this year. There's not a lot that we did to it, but you can make slight modifications and just make it look way more marketable. Like we didn't even change, you see the handles right here on the cabinets? We painted the cabinets and just did new hardware instead of fully replacing the cabinets. We did shift the orientation around a little bit, but we kept the cabinets and were able to save some money and still sell it for a profit.
Here's the question. That's an awesome example. It looks like there was a drop-down ceiling.
So, yeah, we kept the drop-down ceiling.
Okay.
What we did is we actually drywalled over this, and we just added 4 can lights.
Yeah, good job. Is that laminate or vinyl flooring?
This is luxury vinyl plank, so it's like laminate, but it's waterproof.
Awesome. How much per foot do you think that cost?
It was $1.99 a foot.
How much would you budget for it to be installed?
It was about $1 a square foot to have it installed.
Cool. So that gives a good example for everyone else.
Yep. So about
What happened to the guy with the plaid shirt? Was that before COVID for you?
he moved out.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, that's awesome, Josh. Great example. And how many flips have you done?
22.
Awesome.
Yeah.
When did you do your first flip?
In 2015.
Good. You guys can get the same results 5 years later, right? That's what's awesome. You're able to learn from Jordy if that's something that you guys want to do.
Absolutely. So, real quick, as we finish up, I wanted to give you guys some homework and something to think about. It's important that we have a plan and goals, right? Because just like driving to Denver, if we don't know where we want to go, we don't know how to get there. But if we do know where we want to go, we can establish a roadmap, and even if you stop to get gas or get candy or whatever along the way, you'll still get to where you want to be. So, 3 questions. How much do you want in assets? At what age? Giving you what return on investment? So an example for me would be I want $20 million in assets in 10 years, giving a 12% return on investment. And then I've got my why behind it and really how I'm going to get there. So if you guys are open to it, I would be happy to have an individual phone call with you guys to just kind of go over what your thoughts are, where you want to be, when, and how you can best get there, coming from a real estate background. And then from there, you can kind of determine what's your next step. The biggest thing that I've learned definitely over the last 2 years is like action is great, but action mixed with accountability help us get to our goals way quicker than just running around trying to figure it out, right? For a lot of people, investing in real estate is very passive. They want passive income, and it is very easy to do, even just buying one house a year. A lot of people could do it and totally change their financial future. So having someone to come alongside you and help you is huge. And it doesn't necessarily have to be me. It could be an accountability partner, a spouse, a friend, someone else. It could be Matt. It could be a lender. There's so many different things you can do to put accountability to your actions. So from there, I would be interested in hearing your guys' top 3 things that you've learned and then what you're going to do about it. So let's take a couple of minutes and just have you guys share, what have you learned?
Jerry, I'll start. I think I learned the top goal is to make a goal and action.
Yeah,
That's what I learned.
make a goal in action. Okay. Love it.
For me, it's have a very specific plan and know my whys behind it, as far as like, why would I do this action before this other action to be able to utilize that money here, just creating that plan, and then also making sure I have mentorship through that process so that I'm likely to make less mistakes through it.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Courtney. Not the Courtney I'm married to.
Oh yeah, dude, I love the 3 C's, man. I got clean, carpet, and color. I'm gonna throw that in my presentation on August 15th about fixing and flipping, because literally in rental turnovers, as you clean the property, you have fresh, how about clean carpet where it's clean, right? And then touched up, clean, the color of the house makes a huge difference. So I like the 3 C's. So thanks for letting me get that impactful training that I can share.
Yeah. Adam, is your takeaway that everyone is leaving Cali to come here?
No, that's just a fact. No, so some of my takeaways, for sure, stay focused. You got to have a plan, like Courtney's mentioned, but just stay focused on what your plan is. There's a lot of squirrels if you're not careful. Especially when you start getting some money, you get a little bit more experience, you just have to stay focused. Another thing I've learned, even if you get your properties from wholesalers where you can't necessarily get an inspection from the beginning when you buy it, get an inspection anyways once you purchase it, because you better know what you better do. And they're going to run the inspection when a buyer buys it, so just know what you're looking at. It's an important thing. And then let's go like this. What do you think we get? And I think the CPA and attorney is an important thing as well. I've recently worked with Braylio to set up my LLC, and just getting an attorney is important. Have someone you can rely on.
Okay, yeah, I agree with all of that. We have not heard from Miss Diamond, Elliot,
Yeah.
or KBK.
How I said at the beginning that I don't have any system. I mean, I have a crazy system that I need to improve. That's what I mean. So I think that having the experience working with rental property, I think I can do better. I think right now I have a decent, making a decent cash flow, but I think I can do better, much better, and work with a system. I'm pretty sure that you know, and taking actions, right actions, okay? So I can improve my investment in real estate. So that's what I say.
Yeah. Awesome. Elliot.
Yeah. So, gosh, so much good stuff. I think for me, I'm going to sit down with my wife and think like what you talked about at the end, Jordy, just set kind of a roadmap for ourselves, an end goal. And then, man, it's blown me away how organized you guys are as well. Something that Adam York has told me on several occasions is that spreadsheets will make you millions. And, you guys clearly know that. And then the third thing, man, just keep doing your research, running the numbers, and just networking. A lot of good stuff, guys. But I think those are my 3 big takeaways.
Cool. Thank you. KBK. I've become lazy on my self-development. I need to prioritize that again, so there is intentional daily action, not action once a month or once a quarter. That, I think, is gold. I'm going to say 3/4 of the way through The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy, the stake president. It's so true, I think. The self-development, just working on yourself little bit by little bit. It's interesting. The one thing I'm going to add to all of this, it's not necessarily my 3 takeaways from this, but definitely my 3 takeaways from the year. The little things we do add up to the big things, right? So my 3 takeaways this year have been we need to be more consistent saving money, so that equates to tracking money that we spent and budgeting, and having 6 months of our living expenses in savings that we just don't touch. Matt can attest to this, but even a year ago, I was like, nah, I'm okay. I can run leaner than that, and I don't need 6 months. And then coronavirus hit, and I was like, oh, I'm glad that I listened to people smarter than me and was systematically putting money away. Because when a lot of my colleagues were stressing out about money, I just wasn't worried about it, and I never had to touch it, thank heavens. But it's a easy way to sleep at night, to have 6 months of your expenses sitting in a savings account that you don't touch. And then the third thing also goes with consistency. It's just, there's a lot of people that come and they say, hey, I want to invest in real estate. I want to do this, do that, do this. But then they never do anything. So I think just consistently taking action, even if that action is buying 1 property a year, right? And you save up, and then when the right one comes, you have the money to be able to purchase it, will help all of us just plan better for the future. So with that being said, does anyone have any questions or comments that they would like to share before we hop off and hope that our spouses have put kids to bed?
Quick comment for everyone else, because we got one more minute. Here's what's awesome. Thank you for you guys, Adam, Elliott, Miss Diamond, my friend Deepak. I think we should go grab some Indian food. Courtney, KBK. Here's the comment. Right now, my wife and family would rather me be hanging out with them, but I'm doing this share with you guys for free. You guys need to implement tomorrow, right? So if it's signing up for a RIA meeting, downloading a book, going to the class I'm going to teach on August 15th on how to flip properties from A to Z, doing a consultation with Jordy, talking to a lender about qualifying. You just need to take some action. Tony Robbins, I'm a huge Tony Robbins fan. I have gone to 13 of his events in 24 months. He says, knowledge is power, but it's not. Execution trumps knowledge every day of the week. So something that I do is I execute a lot. And Jordy's executing a lot. He put this presentation together for you guys to share to help you guys progress. So I think the 3 books you guys can all bust out. Literally, how can you find out about the information on the 15th? Maybe Jordy could just post that real quick in the chat.
Yep.
But I think all 3 of you guys could listen to Audible, the 3 books, for 30 minutes a day in the next 30 days. You'll get a lot of progress. I think joining the local RIA in your market, either Utah County or Salt Lake County or both, is going to help you guys get similar types of information like this. But, I've done a lot of presentations for people, especially this year, and only 20% maybe execute or 10. And the cool thing is, this is easier than you guys think. You just have to write out a goal, meet with Jordy, take some action items. Courtney, your partner, Courtney, should pay for you to go to the flipping class. You guys will meet a lot of clients. That's how you learn different ideas, right? So the whole point is, you want to be surrounded yourselves with people that are smarter than you, take more action than you, so you can level up. So I'm happy to share with you guys, but yeah, just take the time, implement, and grow, and you guys are going to be able to get some traction. And the KBK, Matt, are you at the beginning you said you're selling some properties to secure cash positions for 2020 to 2022. Other than being cash is king, is there a reason or assumption that housing prices are going to fall? It seems like demand for housing in Utah continue to stay high. Yeah. Here's an example. If I think, depending on whoever the president is of the United States on November 4th, it's going to have a big impact. Based on what's happening right now, I did not think President Trump would have won in 2016, regardless if you like him or not. I do wonder what life would be like if Hillary Clinton would have won. So we can't go back and make projections. I do know there's lots of cycles. So if we have unemployment increase another 5% from 10 to 15, if people can't afford houses, you're going to have more inventory available, less buyers because they can't qualify. And with all the PPP money, the EIDL money, the money given to people who've unfortunately lost their jobs, the government but someone's got to pay for an additional printing of capital. So having the reserves is important, and I'm just planning, and if I'm wrong, that's okay. I just sold my worst properties, and I just happened to dollar cost average them. So I think real estate cycles, if you can leverage up every 10 years and you can manage 3 different cycles, you guys can make a lot of money. So thanks, that's a good question. Thank you, everyone. Hope see you guys at the next event or whatever that serves you, and hope you guys have a great day. Thanks, Jordy.
Thanks, Matt. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Jordy, will you show the first screen on the presentation? I'm going to take a picture of it so we can tag it on Facebook.
Sure will.
What's up, Courtney? How are you doing? It's been a long time. We haven't worked together on properties recently.
Not much. It's going good. How are you?
Good.
Good. You have any properties in the works?
I've got one that I should know on Sunday or Monday if I get it. It's up in Salt Lake.
And then we're like 35 days after that.
You what?
30 to 45 days after if you get the property. You're hoping to have it finished and ready to.
Yep.
Awesome.
Pretty much finishing the basement and doing some update upstairs, so it should be pretty simple. But yeah.
Oh, it's good. What's the square footage on that house?
That's a good question. I think it was. I'll tell you in a second. Got the Zoom meeting full screen on my. I'll check you about it.
Okay, yeah, definitely. Is it